We are back with another episode of the Tip Dish podcast. And of course, I'm Eduardo. With me, as always, I got my co-pilot, my freaking, what is it? My ace to my spade, is whatever how you say it. I got my boy Brett with me in the virtual studio. And today, we got an awesome guest for you, straight from Indianapolis. We got the boy, Skypp. What's up, Skypp?
What's up, Tip Touch? It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
For sure.
Yeah. It looks like you're on the road. Tell us where you're at. What's going on?
Yeah, man. I'm out in the Midwest. I just went to a few events today, and I'm capping it off with a celebration. My buddy just launched his clothing line, so
nice.
Really just moving around, man. And it's definitely a good night, So I'm glad to be here with you guys to wrap it up like this.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're very happy to have you as well. And also, this is the first, I think, interview where we've had someone just rolling around town. This is awesome. Tip Touch is moving around now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is like one of the best parts of the town I'm in. It's called Fountain Square, so it's really dope, man. You can see all kind of flashing lights everywhere. It's really dope, man.
Yeah. Looking nice. Well, so tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you have been working with some big names, and you've really just done a lot in the industry. You are a busy man.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So, I started writing lyrics in middle school, and around that time, hip hop started getting real popular in the mainstream. So I figured I'd turn my words, because they weren't really lyrics at first. Honestly, it was more like poetry or just expressing myself. But I turned it into music, when hip hop got real popular. I wasn't the best MC starting off, but as the years grew, I got better and better. And I just turned into this unique kind of artist where it's kind of like a blend of boom bap, but mixed with soul and maybe even a little bit of commercial inside of it. You know what I mean? Just like a blend of all hip hops. And that really took off for me in high school, man. My fan base really was birthed in high school. I had the whole school was on lock, and it kind of converted over into my adult life. So I'm really grateful for my city, man. They've been behind me since I was 16 years old. So I'm extremely grateful for that. It's been over a decade, So yeah, this is what I'm doing, man. This is who I am. And, music is my full-time job. This is what I do. I've been able to accomplish so much, so grateful for it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm such a go-getter, man. Like, I'm never satisfied. So this is why I do things like interviews with you guys. I'm just trying to go get it every day. You know what I mean? And push the brand and push everything forward.
For sure.
Yeah, I love it. And, and being able to, the one thing I've always loved about music, hip hop. I mean, hip hop, I grew up on hip hop. I grew up with, I remember going to the YMCA, listening to, Regulators for the first time, not even knowing who Warren G and Dr. Dre and then not knowing that how big of an influence they were going to be on my life. Just that for me, I'm on the West Coast, so heavily influenced on a lot of the West Coast music, the LA, DJ Quick, some of the main folks on the even go down to the Bay, go down to Selly Cell. I was going that into it. It was just a lot of fun. And it's interesting that you said that when rap started getting popular, because, for me, it always felt popular because that's all I knew. I was like, it was just always something I listened to. But what do you mean? Like, what do you mean by when it got popular?
Well, when I was a kid, it wasn't really. It's different forms of hip hop for me. Soulja Boy and all those people who had that, like, them franchise boys, that was really hot when I first started writing lyrics. But I didn't feel like what the kind of hip hop I wanted to do fit inside that category of hip hop.
Okay,
as a kid, I don't really know the underground hip hop. All I know is what's on the radio. So when I heard that stuff, I'm like, I'm not that kind of rapper, so I'm not going to do that. But then you start getting more lyrical hip hop going on. You know what I mean? I start hearing people like Lil Wayne and Cassidy and, just people who were about lyrics. And that's where I was like, okay, well, I can do this. You know what I mean? This is the kind of hip hop artist I would be if I were a hip hop artist. But hip hop and rap are two totally separate things for me. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean when hip hop started getting real popular.
Gotcha. And so you are someone, in listening to your music, you are very back in my day when I was listening to, it was like Talib Kweli, you would call it conscious rap, right? Where
Yeah.
and that when I was listening to your music, you were talking about real issues that were affecting your community. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so is that's what your main thing is then, right? Is going in there and setting yourself apart from the Soldier Boys, from the mainstream commercial rap.
Yeah, my biggest thing, honestly, is just having a balance. No matter what you choose to do. What's up, man? Hold on, y'all. My bad.
Yo,
This
Tip
is
Touch. This is
Hey,
what
man,
it's all
this is
about.
this is a
We're
legend in
traveling.
my city, man. This is
Oh,
one of the legends.
okay.
His name is Baby Ebony. He is an extremely dope artist, man. Seriously.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
what's
For
Well,
up.
we're
sure.
happy to
Yeah.
meet him.
You're on the Tip Touch podcast now.
Yeah.
Let's go,
All
baby.
right. But yeah, he's like extremely dope, y'all. Like seriously. But yeah,
This is
God,
amazing.
what was I talking about? Oh yeah. My whole thing is about having a balance, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm real big on substance, but at the same time, I also have fans who just want to get hyped. Okay. People who just want to have a good time, party music. Like I try to blend that in every once in a while. But substance is my number one thing. Absolutely. I feel like it's important. As I grew up, like I couldn't listen to music that I didn't feel. You know what I mean? Like, of course I enjoyed the fun music. I enjoyed the bars where they just rapped about straight ignorance and because the bars hit hard or whatever.
Yeah.
But that music that touched my soul, Tupac, like those were always my number one artists, you know, because like that's what sticks with you forever. You know what I mean? Like it kind of blends in with you and it stays there. So that's always what I wanted to do is like to stay with people. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that, you mentioned Tupac, and that's when you were talking about what you were doing and that balance. That's one thing that when Tupac was alive, they called him a hypocrite all the time because in one song he would say all about you, and then in another one he would say Brenda's got a baby, and it's just like what's the message are you trying to put out there? And people were so dense to realize that, hey, life is constantly moving, and so he really hit the vein of everybody listening. He knew that it wasn't just one person or one set of people that were going to listen to his music. He was everywhere, and that's when I hear you describing how you approach your balance. That's exactly what I got from it, and that's one thing I've seen missing from the hip hop game. I have not heard anyone who just like, I could feel it. Like, oh man, this is crazy right now.
Yeah. Especially not up and coming artists. Everybody's trying to ride the same wave because they feel like that's what it takes to be important. Don't get me wrong. There are people who are taking the underground route, but it's not as popular. You know what I mean? And speaking of Tupac, like I always, what I adored the most about Tupac is I always felt like he had the perfect balance. I can see why people would call it a contradiction, but if you like really listen close, he's basically promoting that it's okay. Like a thug isn't a thug 24/7. That's what he was trying to really get across. Like, yeah, it's thug life, but that's because I was forced into this life. I'm also a human being. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's what I really loved about him. And I've never been a thug. I've had days where I may have been thugging, but I've never considered myself or wanted to be a thug. You know what I mean? I feel like I just adapted to my environment. But Tupac really inspired me to be a positive person, no matter how negative my circumstances may be. So I get it. You know, some people may not have lived that life and they may not understand and they may call it a contradiction. But in my eyes, it's not a contradiction. It's a person who adapted to their circumstances, but at heart, they were positive and loving people. You know what I mean? So it made sense for me.
No, and I think that he was a very complex person. If you looked at his life, I mean, he came from a Black Panther background, very soldier mentality. He was beat by police physically himself. He wasn't talking about somebody who knew, somebody he saw in the news. No, he was beat by police himself. And sued the police department too, got some money. But that type of stuff leaves an impression. And
absolutely.
And so, one thing with in your music, I want to talk a little bit about your music. Is you had a song released about a month ago called
Yeah.
Sundown Town, USA. And it really talks about some of the stuff that we are seeing. We are talking about racial issues in this country. And so what types of things are you seeing yourself where you're at in Indiana?
Well, the thing about Indiana is it's not very popular to leave your city. Like there's not much traveling going on throughout cities because it's so segregated. So what I'm speaking about on Sundown Town USA is just our reputation.
Okay.
So there have been times where so my fiance, she went to college in Bloomington, Indiana, IU, Indiana University. I lived down in Indiana University for like 2 years with her. So on the way to IU, it's a city called Martinsville, which is probably the most racist city in Indianapolis. So, stopping through there and just feeling the environment out, you know what I mean? Like, it lets me know what it's like. I won't say that I've actually stepped my foot into those towns at the wrong time. I'm very careful on stuff like that, you know what I mean?
For sure.
But I've been able to firsthand experience what it's really like in those towns where it's not popular for Black people to go. They're there. They are literal sundown towns. You know what I mean? Like if you're caught there after the sun goes down, you're going to have a problem on your hand. Wow. Like that stuff still exists. You know what I mean? Especially in Indiana. Honestly, the Midwest as a whole, Ohio, Kentucky, like all these cities around us and South Carolinas, like they all have sundown towns, you know. Wow. But in Indianapolis, like for instance, I'm in Fountain Square in Indianapolis, Indiana. This was a sundown town about 20 years ago. Like literally you could not be caught around here after when the sun is down.
Kidding.
Damn.
It's really that popular in Indiana. Seriously.
That is a new phrase. I didn't know what that meant, but now you it makes sense.
If you Google Indianapolis, Fountain Square, Sundown Town, you're going to read all about Fountain Square. But Fountain Square now has 5 concert venues, 10 restaurants. You know, it's a hot part of the city. But if I were to leave this restaurant and go about 3 blocks back, I'd have a problem on my hands.
Wow.
It's crazy, insane. Bro. It really is, man. It's crazy.
It's wild because even from our, we're from Washington State, and to hear this, it almost feels like, it's a whole completely different area. It's insane to me because, I mean, thinking back, I mean, I've dealt with some racial profiling before when I was younger, but it's like to hear about this, like, I mean, still happening now. I don't doubt that whatsoever, but to hear that there's towns like that where, at a certain time you can't be caught anywhere like that. It's just fucking mind blowing, dude.
To me also, because as a kid, I didn't know this even exists. It wasn't until I became an adult, and I started doing my own digging and just, I wanted to study Indiana because I'm from Indiana and I'm a very loyal guy. Like my album is called King of Indiana. I got music all about Indiana and Indianapolis. So I wanted to learn more about my city, you know what I mean? And I learned so much, man. It's really, it's bad out here, man. And I'm just glad that I've never been the kind of guy that went out there and tried to look for it. But whenever I'm out there and I just happen to be out there, I'm always on my P's and Q's, man, because you hear so many stories, you read so many news articles about, how bad it actually is in certain places. It's a place called Mars Hill in Indianapolis that is right there with Martinsville, man. Like it's crazy. I'm surprised you guys haven't heard of this kind of stuff, man.
Nah, man. This is all new to me. I mean, Brett, I don't know about you, bro, but I never heard of this stuff.
I've heard not so much in the Midwest, but like, we have areas in northern Idaho that have had bad histories of racism, and in Montana there's pockets where there's racism. And it's funny because when I lived in Montana, I saw things as a white person. I saw things from a very unique perspective in that we all saw the same thing. Then I come to Seattle, I move out to Seattle, and the whole mindset, everything was just changed. And so I go back to Montana and I'm like, this is different. Like, and I always ask myself, did I think like this? And so that's where I'm like, okay, you know what? I see a lot of this. I think that the solution is to bring people together, to show people that this is important. And what you're doing, I just want, before we go away from Sundown Town, I think what you are saying in Sundown Town is on the same level of consciousness and awareness that NWA did when they came out talking about the police and the brutality in LA, with everything that they had been seeing in the late 80s. And
Yeah.
you know, just raising that awareness, that's a one thing that is really specific to hip hop, that hip hop does like no other genre, is that they really talk about what is happening. You're almost like a journalist in a way. It's like
Yeah.
journalism meets artistic meets music meets everything else, and then you get, you know, all the people else involved, but you really are journalists on the streets, and at the same time of being a soldier at times, at the same time of being an artist, and then, you know, throw that in the bowl, mix it up, and Sundown Town, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're, you know, you're a teacher in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I'm like, it's honestly, when I do this kind of stuff, I don't expect people not to know about it. I don't really expect to be teaching anyone anything. To my knowledge, at that point in time, I feel like everyone already knows what I'm talking about. So it's dope to rap about these kind of things and find out later down the line that I may have taught somebody something, or, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
even doper for me.
Yeah, and it's so good too, because we really, you know, we are so limited to what we see and hear about. I mean, the internet only goes so far. Mainstream media only goes so far. And so
Yeah.
these direct conversation, these help. I mean, it's like, wow, I had no idea that this was going on, you know. Nobody knew.
Absolutely.
When NWA came out, nobody knew. I mean, they saw it on the news, but they saw it from the mainstream media's perspective, right?
Right.
And then NWA came out and said, no, listen to this. And then it was in a raw way
Yeah.
that it had never been delivered before, and it was shocking, you know.
Absolutely. I can imagine.
Yeah. So I mean, man, that's the funny thing too. You hear it all the time. What you just said, you don't even realize what you're doing.
Right.
God just
Yeah.
puts you in this spot to do what you're doing, and you're just doing it, and you don't even realize what you did till it's done.
Right. That's crazy too, man, to really think about that. Like, just making music from my heart, man. Like, so many people learn from it and relate to it. Like in Indiana, people related to that song, you know, more than anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, to know that people outside of the state haven't really experienced, you know, just kind of solidifies and I don't know. It's crazy to me, man.
So you've worked with people like Kanye West and Babyface, and you've worked with big names in the industry. Is it hard being not in LA, not in New York, not in a main city, and being able to make it?
Yeah, it's extremely hard, and I've been battling for like the last 3 or 4 years, you know, because I mean, you can do a lot through the internet, but it's much different when you're face to face, you know, and you're connecting with people the real way. You know what I mean? What I like to say, social media is just another world, but it's not as intimate. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a hassle to try to do everything from here, but I try to travel as much as I can. And I've been considering just getting out of here completely, you know, maybe not permanent, but just, you know, being in a better market, you know what I mean? Because like Indianapolis is growing. It's a lot of things going on here that are really prepping our future for us to be a more entertainment friendly city. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, you know, and where I am in my life, you know, I just feel like it wouldn't really benefit me much to stay here. So it is a hassle, to say the least, man. It's really a depressing state in our music scene. It's people here who, you know, honestly, every music artist in Indianapolis is stressed out because we've never had a successful rapper come out of Indianapolis ever in the history of Indianapolis. We've had Babyface come from Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. He's probably the only artist from Indianapolis to ever do something significant. But Michael Jackson, of course, is from Gary. Other than that, man, like hip hop wise, never.
Do you think that Indiana would just put your crown on hold as you took a step out and went to New York for a while or whatever?
I got two answers for that. So Indiana is going to support whatever looks popular, whatever looks successful. Okay. So if I move to New York and I'm popping in New York, Indiana is going to jump behind me even more.
Okay.
But at the same time, Indiana is I'm going to speak for Indianapolis personally. I don't know what's going on in every other city. Okay. Indianapolis is a gangster city. as far as hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care too much for boom bap hip hop. They don't care too much for lyrical hip hop. The gangsters get the majority of the love.
Okay.
I'm not mad at that. I get it. I have a great fan base. Don't get me wrong, but their fan bases are like 4 times bigger than mine because, you know, that's just what's popular nowadays in the mainstream. You know what I mean? So, I have an underground fan base, just like your Benny the Butcher's. His fan base isn't as big as Drake because, and Drake can actually rap with Benny the Butcher, but just an example. But yeah, they would jump behind me even more. But at the same time, Indianapolis just doesn't support my type of hip hop on a big scale, to be honest. But I'm blessed, man. I really am, because I have one of the biggest fan bases as far as underground artists in the city, mainly because I do step out of that box sometimes and I'll make a club song. And I had a freestyle series called Skypp Saturdays that lasted from 2011 to 2018. Skypp Saturdays was really my outlet to just talk straight trash on industry beats, mainstream beats, just to let people know I can do this too. You know what I mean? I can do anything. Yeah, but my heart is in hip hop, man. Like, I can't fake that, you know, but I'll give y'all what y'all want from time to time. But at heart, I'm staying true to myself.
I love, and I think that's what makes you even more bold of an artist, is that you don't sell out for what you like, for that quick money. I could get that quick money right now. You're staying true to yourself. And I tell you, that seed planted like that, it's gonna have that foundation where the roots are gonna stay connected so much stronger. It's not gonna be something with shallow roots that blows over with when the next wave of flavor changes, right? We're not doing the gangster thing now we're doing the whatever pop hip hop, you know. No, you're rooted and you're making your identity known.
Absolutely.
And just to follow with my co-host was saying, is that, I mean, I'm a fan of underground rap personally, you know, because I feel like for the last couple of years growing up, just it's all been the same shit in regards to, you know, what these, you know, rappers or hip hop, you know, artists talk about. It's just played out, like you were saying earlier, that you kind of want to stick to your own lane and kind of, you know, go in your own avenue, which I respect, because I like more of that stuff that you can actually relate to, and people probably, you know, can really feel what you're talking about in your songs and your music in general. But it's good that, like he was saying, it's dope that you're actually, you know, sticking to it. Like, you could do the mainstream stuff as well, but you decided to just stick in your own lane and just continue pushing there. So
absolutely,
kudos
man.
for that, man. Kudos for that.
Yeah, it's a battle, man, because I'm from the streets, man, and I always try to get the acceptance of the streets because that's my people. But, you know, at the same time, like you guys said, I just want to stay true to myself, man. If they can adapt, you know, to what I got going on, then I gotta go to a new market, man. You know what I mean? And find people who are interested in what I like to do rather than what I feel like I need to do. You know, so hey, it is what it is.
Well, so you said you grew up in the streets. What types of things did you see growing up, and what made you decide to keep your nose clean and go in the direction of hip hop versus being a product of the streets?
I was a product of the streets, man. Unfortunately, the thing about me is I always moved in logic and positivity. You know what I mean? No matter what situation I was in or what I felt like I had to do personally to make ends meet, I always did it with some kind of sense. You know, and that's where I dropped the album before King of Indiana. It was called The Ghetto Mr. Rogers. And that's like the perfect, like, as far as my reputation in my city, that's the perfect album title for me, because that's how everybody looks at me. Like, okay, yeah, Skypp sold this, and Skypp was best friends with the most murderous person in the city.
Yeah.
But he always stayed positive. He always grinded on his music. Like, he never let that take over his life. You know what I mean? So The Ghetto Mr. Rogers is a very fitting title for me. You know what I mean? And that's basically how I live my life. Like, I'm from where I'm from. I didn't jump into the streets till I was 21. That just lets you know I didn't want to do it, honestly. Like, but as far as being in Indianapolis and having a music career, like, there's not many things you can depend on. You need an investor, or you got to get it on your own. You know what I mean? And I didn't have many resources, man. I'm not trying to make excuses for myself, but I didn't have many resources. The only resource I had was my buddies who did what I didn't want to do. And eventually I fell victim to that, you know what I mean? So I jumped in the streets, and, you know, what I did worked for me somewhat, you know, but about 2 years ago, I got out of that, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to be a musician. You know, people getting locked up, people getting killed, and I don't want to be one of those people, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to make ends meet the best way I can, you know. But it's a struggle, man. It really is, bro. It's a big struggle.
Yeah. Do you think, like, with, you know, with our prison system in this country, it's obviously filled, you know, I think we have 25% of the world's incarcerated population. So the world's incarcerated population, America has 25% of it, and something like 70 to 80% are Black and Hispanic.
Yeah.
And so, are you, with the laws changing and with all of the movements that we've been seeing over the past year, do you see anything positive coming out of this, as far as maybe drug laws, as far as crime, as far as prison rates declining for Blacks and Hispanics?
It's funny, man. I was talking to my buddy about this yesterday, because I'll be releasing King of Indiana, the B-sides, on June 4th, and I was just, in my lyrics I said, I don't ever see it changing, man. Like, the song is called Deeply Rooted. You know, it's rooted so deep into our neighborhoods, like they don't see outside of the neighborhood, man. It's extremely sad. I don't know how we're ever going to stop this violent rampage that we are on, because, like, at this point it's just too deep. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much redemption that's out there, and so many people have been killed, and there's so much retaliation. Like, I don't see it changing in my lifetime, man. And
wow,
that's why we're getting locked up. Like, we're not getting locked up and saying, hey, we didn't do nothing. Like, we know we know what we're doing. We know the risk that comes with it. We know all of it, the outcomes and all of it. But there's just like an extreme ignorance that just ignores the deadly and the negative outcome. And it's like we glorify and we really like grasp onto the streets. Yeah. You know, and I don't see it changing, because, like, the more the mainstream promotes this violent and gangster hip hop, the more kids that I work in the school system, bro. I work in the school system part-time. I see it firsthand. Every kid wants to be NBA Youngboy. Every kid wants to be King Von. Like, they really want to be these people, because that's what looks successful. That's what's pushed in their faces more than anything. Yep. I don't see it changing, family. I don't know the Hispanic community. I can't speak for them, but I've seen the Hispanic community be just as gangster as the Black community.
Right.
I've seen the Caucasian community be as gangster as the Black community. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think in my lifetime it's going to take something very drastic to happen to us as a human race for people to actually be like, we tripping. We need to change this.
Wow.
But I don't know what could happen. Maybe aliens got to come down here and attack us or something. I don't know.
President Ronald Reagan did say that. He actually said that.
Yeah, he did that. Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna make us stick together. I don't have an answer. I don't see it changing, man. I really don't.
So do you think that like the words of Martin Luther King, that it's something that was done in the 60s and it's over? Enough time has passed that we don't even care anymore. We don't believe the dream anymore.
Of course that doesn't apply to everyone, because you got people like myself who try to look at the bigger picture regardless of what lives I may dive into. But I think the majority of people move the right way. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very small percentage of the world who moves the wrong way, but I think that's just what's promoted the most, and that's what we dwell on the most, because it stands out. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't think everything's all bad. I think majority of things are good, man. It's just that bothers us so much because it really affects us, and it slows us down, it pushes us back, it holds us back. Like, it's hard not to speak about it, man. But I think we have made strides to improve as a country, at least. I don't know what's going on outside of the country, man, but yeah, I'm always hopeful, man.
I hear that. And again, I mean, with hip hop, you are in a position where you can influence that behavior and that way of thinking. I mean, and again, to go back to Tupac, it just takes a spark. And if we're all just contributing our spark, eventually we're going to light the fire that dismantles this whole way of thinking. And but you know, every little spark isn't going to be able to do it all. We all have to do this together.
Agreed.
But so a sense of, do you feel that there's a great sense of hopelessness then in the city, that where people are like, you know what, there's nothing out there for me if I don't change, and you know, so I'm just going to stay doing this?
Yeah, it's a lot of hope. I think Indianapolis maybe is the home of hopelessness. Honestly, like as far as musicians,
that is deep. That hurts.
I can't speak for the people who don't do music, but in the music community, like, listen, man, Skypp Saturdays had 118 editions. I probably had about 80 to 90 artists, you know, collaborate on Skypp Saturdays. Some songs it was 5 people on one freestyle. Sometimes it was only one person, but a combined about 90 people. Out of those 90 people, about 20 are dead, or probably about 25 were locked up.
Wow.
It's extremely sad. Like, I just lost my guy, Tone Goody, hip hop artist, but a street dude too, because he felt like that's what he had to do to survive. Tone Goody, his funeral was just 2 days ago. You can Google Skypp and Tone Goody, and you're gonna find so much music. Like, this is what I go through every year. Like, I lose people in the hip hop community. We lose people in the hip hop community because it's such a feeling of hopelessness. And you can get on Tone Goody's on his Facebook page and look at his statuses, and all he's talking about is, God, I want to do the right thing. Like, I don't understand. I'm stressed out. And that's what we all go through. And with me being one of the most commercially successful artists, it's a lot of people who do a lot of numbers, but I've been on the side of buses. You know, I've been on the news. So commercially successful, for me to be one of the most commercially successful artists and still feel hopeless, like, that lets you know what the people who ain't able to do as much as me, how they feel. We in the streets causing havoc, you know, because a lot of people ain't mentally strong enough to deal with that feeling of rejection and that feeling of failure. You know what I mean? It's really hard because we really try hard and we really work hard in this city, and it shows. There's so many popular artists in this city, but it never leaves outside of this city because we just don't have that. We don't have that kind of market, you know, like nobody's checking for Indianapolis hip hop.
Right.
I had an album review from the homies in Long Island, New York. And when I sent my album in, he was like, okay, well, his name is Skypp. I don't like it. His album is King of Indiana. I don't like it. It's corny. He said, but, you know, and he said, and I went into this album thinking, like, what does Indiana hip hop even sound like? You know what I mean? Like, immediately wrote me off. But he listened and he was like, wow, this is extremely dope. But that just lets you know the kind of stigma we have around us.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Let me be completely honest and transparent. When we first came across your name and when we saw the same things, it took, you know, it hit me a little bit different. I'm like, Skypp, huh? Skypp's a little bit of a different name, and King of Indiana, huh? You know, so I'm like, well, let's check this out. And the only reason is because I am so used to music coming out of either Atlanta, LA, New York, Texas, you know, and if it isn't coming out of those main areas, I just feel reluctant. You know, there's a reluctance that comes with it. But then as I was listening to it, I remember I was sipping on a little bit of whiskey, and I just was vibing to your music. I'm like, wow, he is talking about some real shit here. And I told Eddie, I'm like, dude, I like it. The music is hitting hard. He's saying exactly that is the vein of hip hop that I loved. That's where Talib Kweli changed everything. When I first heard him, I said, oh my God, I didn't know that there was this level of hip hop out there. I'm coming from a West Coast. I thought everything was about smoking weed, about hoes, about, you know, shooting and all that. And then, you know, and Tupac opened it up a little bit, and then Outkast came out, and I loved them. But Talib Kweli, he hit it with that boom bap, with that whole and talking about the real stuff. I'm like, oh yeah,
he's a different breed for sure, man.
But you really like your lyrics, like the, you know, the one, I don't have it written down, but you were talking about on Sundown Town, talking about 4th down with inches to go. I'm like, oh man, I shook when I heard that. Like, so close.
I like the bar where you said, I got the Hispanics. I don't need to know Spanish. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
I felt that one. I felt that one, man. That
Yeah, for
was dope
sure,
line,
man.
man.
Yeah,
No, but
I mean,
Yeah.
the
but
wordplay is amazing. I love it.
yeah, it is.
Uh-huh.
But to go along with what Brett was saying too, and I just want to say straightforward that I know we took a little bit of time to respond to your email and for me to even kind of check out your work. Because I noticed that like your website wasn't up, and I think your like your social medias, I don't know what's going on. Maybe you're still working on them or something, but there wasn't a way for me to kind of like, check out your Instagram or something like that. And then I think there was a direct link to your YouTube, and I actually listened to the song Fix Your Crown. And I'm like, yo, this is really different. And I liked it because like we were saying, like you just got bars, man. And I like stuff that just stands out, that's not following the same commercial train,
Yeah.
and it just said, I'm like, yo, we really got to get him on and definitely link up with him and just, get to know him as a person aside from an artist as well. So, yeah, man, it really, I just gravitated to it because, like I said, right off the bat, it was just different. It's not the same
Yeah.
thing that you hear consistently every other day because it's just so repetitive, but you stuck out, man. And honestly, it's good stuff that from what I'm hearing, dude, I like it.
I appreciate it, man. I don't know what links she may have sent you, but my website and my social media is definitely should be good.
Okay.
Maybe she messed the links up or something. But I definitely let her connect with you guys after this. And I appreciate you guys even taking a chance on me, just to speak with me. It's very seldom, you know what I mean? It's very seldom, man. The Indianapolis hip hop we get press. We don't get much press, man. So I appreciate you guys, reaching back out.
Well, one thing we try to do is we try to look for people who are unique, people who are maybe being overlooked,
Yeah.
and we know, I mean, this is how you start grassroots movements, is where you're like, okay, we're building our own empire right here. We're gonna, network the way we're gonna build a whole new network, kind of like what cryptocurrency is doing with the blockchain. They're you have your internet or whatever, but there were a group of people that said, nope, we're going to start a whole new thing, whole new world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
man.
Absolutely.
with the tip touch too, we made, one thing that with Eddie and I is we've always talked about how hard it is. Like we have all this separation in our country, and when you sit down and you can chop it up with someone who from a different background, different life experiences, different economic, social status, when it comes down to it, we are all the same. And then that's where we can figure out where we can help each other, right?
Yeah.
And we're all here. Some of us have more resources in this area, and then some of it, and then that's where you start working with each other. And
absolutely.
So that my spark in this whole thing is just to do our part by reaching out and showing the world, showing our audience that, hey, be a little bit more open-minded. Don't just believe all this shit you're seeing on the news, because these guys are getting paid by selling all these commercials to make the news as divisive as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you have currently working on right now? I mean, I know that you just released your album of King of Indiana in March, I believe.
Yeah.
And you were just saying that you got a B-side coming out as well?
Yeah, the B-sides will be out June 4th.
June 4th,
which is about 3 weeks away. I just wanted to get that out the way, so it'd basically be dropping 2.5 months after King of Indiana. It's 15 tracks. I didn't make the album. But it was like 40 tracks that didn't make the album, but we just picked the best 15 and did a B-sides, man. And honestly, aside from the skit, I don't know if you guys heard the album yet, but it's a movie. Yet. The album is it's 20 tracks, but it's 6 of them are skits in between 14 songs. So it's like it's a visual album.
You know what I mean?
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's a visual album, and aside from the skits, the B-sides could hang with the original musically. So, there's no skits on the B-side, but the music is just as hard hitting as the original.
You know what's wild about that is, now we live in this world where you just stream a song, go to Spotify, and so how do you work that, having like a movie album, having the skits on an album? How do you do you just load it up on Spotify, or what do you do there?
Yeah, I just release it as an album, and before the album, I'll try to release some singles and pitch them to the playlist and stuff like that, because that's hands down the most important thing nowadays. Fix Your Crown with featuring Romfest, that made it onto a playlist called Butter, I believe, on Spotify, editorial playlist that had 690,000 whatever they call it, likes or followers. And like that was major for me. I've never made it to a Spotify editorial playlist because I didn't know that even existed at first. I was just dropping my albums, and I was like, hey, why are my numbers going up? I'm dropping good music. But that's not how the game is. Like, albums aren't popular that much anymore. So what you got to do is you got to draw them to your singles, and once they hear the singles, it prompts them to go check out more music.
Gotcha.
And there's always an album by Skypp. I've dropped the B-sides will be my 4th album since June of last year. So in June, I dropped the Ghetto Mr. Rogers. Then I dropped a collaboration album with a Nigerian artist named T Clef. And then I dropped King of Indiana. And then B-sides drops June 4th. So, I've been dropping a lot of albums and a lot of music, but I will admit that I should have been releasing singles more throughout that campaign, But I'm honestly still learning that singles are so dominant, because I've always been in my own hip hop world where I like albums. When I see J. Cole drop albums, and J. Cole won't have a single for his album, he'll just drop an album and it'll work. But that's J. Cole, so I can't compare myself to that.
For sure, man.
Wow,
that's dope. So are you gonna actually? So I know with COVID and everything, it's kind of difficult for artists to really tour and all that. So are you thinking maybe about going on tour here later this year?
Absolutely, man. I've been shopping around, trying to see what artists are going on tour first of all, and who needs opening acts. I've spoken to Benny the Butcher's people, which would be like the dopest thing ever if I can pull that off.
That'd be dope.
So like they let I'm aiming for the stars. Just trying to see who's all going touring, because some people are waiting until 2022. So it's kind of hard to try to find a tour to be a supporting act on right now with all the stuff going on in the world, man. But that is definitely a goal of mine for sure.
Has the pandemic opened up new opportunities that wouldn't have existed otherwise?
I guess so. Cause I hired a PR for the first time. The lady that you guys have been speaking to and booked this through, that's my PR. This is the first time I've had a PR. And just being so disabled and not being able to do as much as I want to do, it prompted me to try to find out, what I could use more of, what I've been missing all these years. And the PR was like the number one thing for me, because I'm like, I want to get on more blogs, you know what I mean? So it started by me reaching out to blogs myself, but then I got to doing research, and I'm like, well, blogs, they really want to hear from PRs more than anything, you know what I mean? So
interesting.
That's what prompted me to go do that. And now I'm trying to get onto this playlist thing, try to make that happen a little more, because people are getting record deals off of these playlists, man. Like I'm learning Lil Tecca. I don't listen to his music, but Lil Tecca, Lil Mozzie, however you say it. Those guys got famous off of Spotify playlists. That's what I'm learning. And that's crazy. But it makes sense. Like your Rap Caviar has 10 million followers. The Rap Caviar playlist. If I get on that, that's how I'm thinking. Like if I can get on that, we'd be good. So I'm trying to figure it out, man. Rather than being such a traditional artist, I'm trying to adapt to the new industry.
Damn, wow, that's crazy. It's wild how things have changed in the sense of, you have to almost have like a like a plan of attack to actually go a certain route to really kind of get your name out there. Like, because I didn't know that. Like, you have to get on that playlist, and then from there, you're pretty much signed off for one single.
Yeah, like there's no particular formula, but that has been the most demanding thing so far. Is people they get on these playlists and they're what is it besides the playlist? YouTube, the YouTube channels.
Oh yeah.
So they have YouTube channels where they'll post. It's like a World Star kind of, but there's Lyrical Lemonade, for instance. I don't know if you guys heard of Lyrical Lemonade. No, if you get a video shot by Cole Bennett, for instance, he did Eminem's video. What was it? Eminem's song was named after some kind of insect. I don't remember what it was called. But Cole Bennett shot that video and he dropped it on his channel, Lyrical Lemonade. because if you get a video shot by Cole Bennett and he drops it on his channel, you're
Wow.
immediately famous.
Wow.
Immediately famous. But he does not shoot anybody. So,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Stuff like that is what makes you an instant celebrity.
Okay.
Instant.
Wow.
You'll be an instant celebrity if you get a Cole Bennett video and he drops it on his YouTube channel. If Drake puts you in a story on Instagram, if you can afford that, you're an instant celebrity.
No kidding.
No question. You know what I mean? It's really that easy, but it's all about connects or money. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If you don't have either of those things, it's gonna be a long grind for you. And that's what it's been for me. But I'm pushing, man. I'm pushing.
Okay.
Yeah, man, that's dope. I mean, dude,
I love your hunger.
Yeah, the hunger there, the hunger is, that's what I'm saying. I definitely respect you that you're trying out there and just, go get it. And so if it's one main goal you want to reach this at the end of this year, what would it be? Like, what would be one of the main objectives you want to reach at the end of 2021?
Going on tour for sure.
Going on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that and that's an old school formula, to reaching success. But that's something I want to do because, like I said, I like being face to face with the supporters. So if I could get on a tour with like your Benny the Butchers or your Rock Marcianos or whoever, if I can get in front of those people, those masses of people, I know I can win them over. And if I can get in front of them face to face, like, that's the old school way and that's the way I want to do it. So a tour is definitely my number one goal by the end of the year.
With you having a PR, that was a pretty cool thing for us because we checked the email and we're just like, you're the first artist that we've talked to that had a PR. I'm like, oh wow, this is it's getting official now.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we're legit now.
And the thing about it is like, I'm so used to looking for places on my own. Like she's finding you guys. I don't know how she heard about you guys, but she found you herself.
We don't either.
So that's the dope
part. We don't know either. We just got an email that, would you want to interview Skypp? And I talked to my co-host here. I'm like, let's do it, man. I mean, we like his music. Let's bring him on. Let's chop it up and let's make it happen in network. So I'm pretty curious to know how she came across this, really. So hopefully maybe you can give us an answer and let us know or something. I don't know.
Let's connect. If we can follow each other or add or whatever.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, whatever social media you guys do. And man, I'll definitely let you know. But that's just her job, I guess. Just to scour the internet for outlets that may be willing to cover independent hip hop, man. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, no, we're definitely glad that the connection was made, regardless. And I really do love what you stand for. I love your message. You talk about some hard stuff, right? But overall, you have that positive mindset, and I think that at the end of the day, as long as you can have that, going back to Tupac, right before he got shot in '96, I remember on the gang-related soundtrack, I remember his last days. He was dealing with so much pressure, and it finally got to him. And he was his one lyrics at the end of I think it was staring through my rear view. And he's like, go on, baby, scream to God. He can't hear you. And you could just hear the hopelessness in him. And I'm like, wow, I wonder if he was in that dark of a spot when he passed away, And
I wouldn't doubt it, man. I wouldn't doubt it. That dark cloud follow you, man. And he was also into a bunch of gangster stuff. Yeah. So that's a whole different light that people may not even know how deep it was for him. So I could see that, man, 100%, man. He got rape allegations. He killed a cop. Like he got bodies. Like, man, I can only imagine.
Yeah,
I can only imagine.
But you, in the poem "Rose That Grew from the Concrete," are you familiar with that poem?
Maybe.
Maybe. It was a poem that Tupac, when he went to the School of Arts in Baltimore, and he was training to be an actor with Jada Pickett. Remember? Yeah. He would write poetry all the time, and there was one song or one poem that he wrote called "Rose That Grew from the Concrete," and it was basically talking about, this rose is growing up from this concrete, and it's it's weak, it's not as full and lush as you would see a rose in an open garden growing, but and so people are, instead of marveling at the fact that this rose was growing in an environment where a rose could not grow, they're focusing on all the weak petals and the weak stuff, when they should be marveling at the fact that this rose grew from the concrete. this
Absolutely.
thing that, this thing of beauty coming from this hard place is existing.
I relate to that wholeheartedly.
That's
man.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I hear that in you. I see that.
Yeah, people have a problem with glorifying or giving attention to the wrong thing. So I definitely get it. I get it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, Skypp, we don't want to take too much of your time, bro. I mean, you're out there celebrating, and I know it sounds like you're having an awesome time out there with your people out there. Dude, we want to thank you for coming on and actually,
My
coming
pleasure.
through and networking with us, dude. And we want to hear from more from you in the future. So hopefully down the road, we can definitely link up again and just kind of get like an up to date of what's going on, the stuff that you've been working on, all that good stuff. So, I mean, let the people know right now where they can reach you at, and where they can listen to your music, where they can find you, and all that stuff.
Absolutely. You can check out my site, officialskypp.com. That's official, SKYPP.com. All my social media is SKYPP317, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, that's where everything is. You can even just Google SKYPP because I'm the only SKYPP in America, at least, so everything will pop up, you'll see all the articles and all the hype around my name, so just check me out. I think you'll love what you end up finding.
Yeah,
for sure, man.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing great.
Brett,
I
do you want to
appreciate
add,
it, man.
do you want to add anything else besides that?
No, I just want to thank you so much, Skypp, for taking some time and sharing stuff about your life, your perspective, your music. I definitely look forward to looking for your whole album. Now I'm just gonna totally vibe out for the next week now. So
yeah, check it out, man. I think you'll really, really love it. If you like Sundown Town, and I know you said your co-host loves Fix Your Crown, like the whole album is full of just pure hip hop, you know what I mean? Like I think you'll really enjoy the album as a whole, man. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, yep.
Sure,
I've loved what I've heard so far, and I'm glad to have finally met the man behind the lyrics, the man behind the message, and I just wish you luck and success and all that fun stuff, and I hope to meet again. I hope to be able to do a new interview with you down the road.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to it, man.
For sure.
Right on.
So, all right, peeps, we're going to wrap this episode up. And of course, we're going to plug in all of Skypp's links, so where you can find his music videos, and all that good stuff. But we're going to wrap this episode up. This is the Tip Dish Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome day, awesome weekend. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Woo. Get out the street, y'all. Peace out. Peace out, world.